Hello, and welcome to this bite-sized webinar on rewriting the narrative for sustainable business leadership. I'm Claire, the founder of SDG Changemakers, and I'm your host for the session. To understand why we need to rewrite the narrative for sustainable business leadership, it's important to remind ourselves of what science is telling us about the unsustainable state of our planet. Last month, we had our final warning from IPCC for a while, Act Now and Limit Global Warming. The reason for the warning is that we're already seeing the impact around us. For example, the changes to the climate system, such as warmer air and land, are impacting the growing season, while energy demand is increasing as more of us need to cool our homes in the summer. Incidents of flooding in cities are rising, and this is causing damage to communities and infrastructure. Now, these damages are not just limited to individuals, but it's also to businesses too that are operating in these spaces. In addition, many of these risks are risk multipliers, meaning that they amplify and aggravate other risks that negatively impact social, environmental, and long-term financial value. The message we're hearing is that the costs of business as usual are high and getting higher. Businesses face risks associated with climate change, diminishing their future competitiveness, their license to operate, and shareholder returns. These images are from Hawke's Bay, New Zealand from this summer, and also Uganda a couple of years ago. And the reason I've included them is to highlight that regardless of where you live, we're all experiencing very similar issues. To take a moment to understand business as usual, I use the food sector as an example. Business as usual refers to our current management practices of, for example, considering a high gross margin as good. Financial measures trump all others, and success is based on commodities, processed or manufactured resources, and financial capital. But this siloed view doesn't consider the environmental and impact on society. Instead, it promotes a take, make, discard culture, as illustrated by our less than perfect carrots in this photograph. These less than straight carrots are often regarded as not suitable for consumers by the supermarkets, and a quick Google search will see questions like, are deformed carrots safe to eat? This disconnect has led to negative implications for the economy, society, and the environment, such as over a third of all food produced, that's 2.5 billion tonnes, is lost or wasted each year, which is exacerbating GHG emissions, which is also having an impact on hunger and poverty. So what is sustainable business leadership? At its essence, it's about redefining value. There is a need for businesses to reshape how they measure and value their relationship with nature, people, and the economy. And this starts with redefining leadership. Very simply, understanding what actually matters to people and the planet. Sustainable business leadership is critical for the future of our planet and us, the people who are living on it. It is a driver of climate action, and the results will actually reduce waste, save money, attract customers, retain staff, and helps to build a better world. Current consumption and production thinking is driving supply and demand, which focuses on making as much profit as possible, regardless of the impact on the planet or the people the products and services are intended for. Again, that take, make, discard culture. So how do we move from business as usual and current management styles to adopting sustainable leadership and business models to tackle global challenges like climate change and SDG 12, overconsumption and production, or quite simply, waste? Laid out in this simple way, waste, we have to ask the question, why is it taking so long to get our heads around the sustainability problem? What are we actually afraid of? Or is it simply because we can't be bothered? Certainly, there is a lot of concern that being sustainable means reducing profits, but profit is only one value, financial. What about the environment and the communities we live in? What about our own health and well-being? Is that not valuable? Current economic business models are financially attractive, and we have linked our individual happiness to being able to buy stuff, which is driving consumption and production. All this buying and making and more buying and getting the latest trend comes at a cost, which we all as individuals end up paying for, often described as the hidden costs of products and services. Our desire to get more stuff means that over a third of all food produced, so that's 2.5 billion tonnes, is lost or wasted each year. 1/3 of this occurs in the food production stage. It is estimated that 30% of unwanted clothes in the UK end up littering landfill. Furthering this, more than 60% of UK households claim to own unwanted clothing. With fashion already a large contributor to pollution levels around the world, how we dispose of clothes we no longer wear is an important issue. Less than 20% of e-waste is formally recycled, with 8% either ending up in landfill or being informally recycled, much of it by hand in developing countries, exposing workers to hazardous and carcinogenic substances. Surely, reducing waste saves money and resources for everybody. So how do we rewrite the narrative and shift to mainstreaming sustainable business leadership? Radically shifting our mindsets to consider the well-being of planet and people first when we design our products and services is a start. We need to encourage collective leadership, bottom up, inside out, outside in, and systems thinking. We need to collaborate for innovation and rapid deployment of ideas and solutions instead of protectionism. We need to ditch the short-termism, which is a product of vested interests and shake up. We need to ditch the short-termism, which is a product of vested interests and shareholder pressure. These short-term commercial considerations need to be superseded by longer-term strategies and investments required to make the needed transition to net zero. Purpose-driven organisations like ours are driven by prioritising sustainable practices in all aspects of the operation. We believe that prioritising the well-being of people and the planet is essential for long-term success, and we believe all businesses can actually do it. A useful approach to thinking about sustainable leadership in our quest to redesign our economy and solve global challenges is to think about leadership in 3 dimensions: knowledge, values, and practice. Knowledge is all about power, so we need to learn how to impact change with systems thinking. With values, we need to live and embrace our personal purpose and values at work as well as privately. And practice, we need to build the skills to be able to influence positive impact on brainprint and footprint. It's just worth a quick note about the development of global regulatory requirements, particularly the EU, who's leading the way, and their Sustainability Reporting Directive, which is asking for an inside-out and outside-in approach to understanding, measuring, and reporting impact. So sustainable leaders lead purpose-driven organisations, and the characteristics of purpose-driven organisations are around creating value, which is about embracing sustainable business models such as the circular economy. It's about creating a culture which is moving away from traditional hierarchical structures and more towards a devolved leadership structure. And it's about creating a value chain which prioritizes transparency and ethical practices across that chain. So, the benefits of sustainable leadership: it encourages broader thinking to solve problems. It builds cohesion across the business, and research shows that companies who prioritize sustainability are more likely to succeed in the long run. So, the three takeaways we have are: understand systems thinking, understand worldviews and what's influencing current decisions, change mindsets by aligning your values. Thank you for tuning in. I hope our bite-sized webinar has given you food for thought and will encourage you to find out more as to how you can be a thought-provoking, sustainable leader for the new emerging global economy. For those of you on the webinar, we will add you to the community Be Bold, and you'll get access to this very shortly. For those of you accessing the webinar through one of our channels, if you'd like to be part of the community, please go to our website, sdgchangemakers.today, and follow the links to subscribe to Be Bold.